Good afternoon, friends. Uh, Welcome to PIF's online talk, which is called Healing After March 15. My name is Muhammad Aksu. I am saying hello to you from across the Tasman to our friends in New Zealand. I'm in Canberra. And I sadly didn't learn how to greet you in the proper manner of as a New Zealander, but as a Canberran, I would like to start by remembering the people whose land we meet on today, the Ngunnawal people, and I would like to send my respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Welcome to another talk by PIF, the Pearl of Islands Foundation, who works comprehensively to celebrate diversity and advance social cohesion between cultures to contribute to the educational, cultural, and overall social well-being of Rotorua through its established institutions, platforms, and activities. Their mission is to foster understanding and acceptance between people of diverse communities through meaningful engagement and intercultural events. Alongside community engagement and outreach, Pearl of Islands does this through a number of intercultural, interfaith-based dialogue events such as Ramadan iftar dinners, talks like the one that you're currently taking part in, and panels. And for today, Healing After March 15, we have a very special guest. We have Farid Ahmed, who has lived in New Zealand for over 30 years. 21 years ago, he had a tragic accident that left him as a paraplegic when he was run over by a drunk driver on the street. He miraculously survived, but is now confined to a wheelchair. Despite these challenges, he's a senior leader at the Deans Ave Mosque in Christchurch, and he also works as a homeopath. And for those who know a little bit about him, you would also know that he was in one of the mosques during the terrible events of March 15th last year. And he lost his wife at that time as well. Since these attacks, he's been speaking around the world and speaking about his incredible message of forgiveness and love. Farid Ahmed, welcome. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
I hope you're well.
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. Thank you for, including me.
Oh, it's a pleasure, and I think it's an honor, if I can speak on behalf of PIF, to have you to share your experiences and to help us moving forward together as a cohesive society to try to figure out how to overcome hate, to overcome violence and destruction. And I think your perspectives are very important in this area. So, Farid, to begin with, I'd like to start, and this is the thing that when we heard about it personally from my own perspective, and when I heard, a lot of Muslim reactions online and in general, we were so overwhelmed by it. You're one of the survivors of this attack in Christchurch, yet you forgave the terrorist. You forgave this man that took so much away from you. And the question we want to ask is why, to begin with?
To start with, I would say that this forgiveness does not come automatically. It is like a finished product. But before any finished product, you have to have raw materials and you have to process them properly. And then after processing, a final product comes out. So forgiveness is also similar. It was a final product, but behind forgiveness, if anyone wants to forgive, he has to have few things in mind. For example, without controlling the anger, one cannot forgive. So anger control, one aspect, it had to be there. And Alhamdulillah, I had that. The second raw material was that, looking at the bigger picture, we call it wisdom. That wisdom allows us to see the pros and cons and the far-reaching effect. So I was thinking about the far-reaching effect, and also I was looking at that what is beneficial for everyone else as well as for myself. I was thinking about Muslim community, my children, Muslim children, next generation, New Zealanders. I was thinking about world economy, a relationship between Muslim nations and non-Muslim nations. I was thinking, all of the bigger things, and that allowed me to see the bigger picture. And the third thing was the uh, the calculative mind, a business mind. I'm a small businessman. I run my own business. But for last 22 years of teaching Quran and Hadith, I was thinking business-wise, what would give me better result from Allah, better reward from Allah. So, I that business calculation was telling me, if you forgive for the sake of Allah, then Allah will forgive you. So go ahead.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so all these things was the raw materials, the knowledge, the mentality, my practice, my faith, my upbringing, everything was there. And I think I didn't have to do any work to convince myself for forgiveness. It was there and it was spontaneous.
Brother Fadi, just a question. What role do you think your past challenges had with this as well? So, for an example, 22 years ago or so, somebody also, you went through a challenge there with your accident. You seem to have overcome that trauma. Do you think, to some extent, that challenge, the one where you were, your life turned upside down by ending up in the wheelchair, did that play a role in the strength that you showed right after finding out about what happened with your wife, with Husna, right after the attack?
Yeah, it was one of them, but not only the one. Throughout my life, since my childhood, I went through lots of traumas, and with that, uh, I also had uh, uh, my parents' best role model. Even my father, he went through lots of traumas. And I have seen my father, he was forgiving and he was very generous. Then, I suffered a lot in my life before I came to New Zealand also. And, every trauma and every suffering was a lesson. And with Islamic practice and faith, I came out one after one. And then I had accident in New Zealand, and also there, faith helped me to heal, to come out of it. So yes, it was a sort of journey, not just one incident, but many incidents has helped me to grow, to learn, and to understand that what is actually best for me. So I had two choices, or anybody like in my situation, we have two choices. Do we want to get stuck in the grieving,
Yes.
in the trauma, or should we come out of it and heal ourselves? So I think, I choose the healing all the time, and it has been helping me.
Do you think that forgiving is a huge part of healing? Like, is that the key to be able to heal, to forgive?
I think so. I think so, because forgiveness means I'm not going to hold any more grudge about it. I'm not going to feel angry about it. Forgiveness is that I accept whatever has happened. It was in my qadr,
In your fate, in your
in a
destiny?
faith, in my destiny, and without Allah's permission, it didn't happen.
Mm.
If Allah wanted another way, then it could have been another way. So I can explain that why it happens, but without questioning, I believe that whatever happens for the best for me, and I put my whole trust in Allah, and I believe that Allah will take me through the journey. So why should I worry? Why should I hold grudge? Why should I feel angry? I just need to accept and move on. So when we have that serenity and peace in mind, fully peace in mind, then forgiveness is easy. And forgiveness relieves huge anxiety. So I can sleep better because I have forgiven. My heart is clean. It is not a volcanic heart anymore. This is the example I give, that if we hold the grudge and we are harboring, the anger, and we are thinking about it, then we make our heart a volcanic heart. It is not in peace. But when we forgive, then the heart is fully in peace. I can sleep better, I can eat better, and I don't have to worry about it. So, yes, you are right. Forgiveness is part of the healing, or we can say that forgiveness is the outcome of the healing.
Wow. Because I'm just thinking back, from the scriptures as a fellow Muslim, in the Quran, God says you can ask for justice or you can forgive, and forgiveness is better for you. It's actually
Yes.
mentioned openly. So you've seen that rather than asking for the justice, forgiveness is the thing that has brought you to peace more completely in this regard.
You are right. I could ask for the justice, but what would I get? I was thinking like this is like a businessman, because in Quran, Allah has mentioned many times our faith is like a trade.
Mm.
Tijaratin tunjikum.
Yes, yes.
It's like a trade. So because we human being, trade mean loss and profit. So if we ask, what is the best profit, which way I will get best profit, then you have summarized that if I forgive, then Allah says it is better for me. Why? Because if I forgive for the sake of Allah, then Allah will give me extra reward. So that is more profit for me. So if I have a choice of getting $100 and $1 million, then why should I go for 100? I better go for 1 million.
I like this argument. It'll really appeal to the capitalists amongst us all, Brother Farid. We all like doing some business, and we all like making a good profit. But it's an apt comparison. You're right. It's the best deal is to forgive in this regard. You're saying.
We can think another way. Someone can say that, look, Brother Farid, this forgiveness is showing others that we are weak.
Yes, this is an important point. Thank you for
Yeah.
raising it, Brother
Yes.
Farid. Yes.
Yeah. So, I think about it. I thought about it. But I think, no, getting angry is not stronger. Because Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned in a hadith that the actual hero is not who wins or who defeats his opponent. The actual hero is who can control the anger,
Yes.
or control the power when he has to harm other people.
So the Prophet Muhammad mentioned that in a tradition in one of his hadith.
Yes.
Yeah?
So therefore, forgiveness is not weakness. Forgiveness is actually extraordinary courage. And also forgiveness has other benefits. For example, if someone hits me and I hits back, then the hate and the fight will carry on.
We'll continue.
Where is the end?
Mm.
It has to end somewhere. And the end comes through forgiveness. For example, when Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he went to Taif,
Mm.
and then he invited people to come to the Deen, the faith.
Yes.
They rejected him, and the leaders, they asked the young people to throw stone on him,
Yes.
and they threw stone on him, and he fainted. So they pulled him up and made him walk again, and then they started stoning on him again, and then he got fainted. Third time he got fainted and he was not responding and he was bleeding. They thought that he was finished, he was killed. So they went away. And after that, when he gained his consciousness, Jibreel alayhi salam came.
The angel.
Angel.
Yeah.
And then he said that these are with me two angels responsible for two mountains. And O Prophet, if you just say that they need to be punished and you want to take, action against them, these two angels will bring to mountain and will crush them.
Yes, turn it asunder.
Yeah.
Turn it upside down.
But Prophet said, no, I did not come for this. I did not come to destroy. I have come to save. So he prayed to Allah, Allahumma ghfir li qawmi fa innahum la ya'lamun. Oh Allah, forgive my people. They did not understand. Because if they had understood like I did, they would not have done those horrendous things.
And this is in all of the prophetic tradition. So if you look at the life of Jesus, or you look at the life of Moses, or you look at the life of all of the messengers from before, similarly they faced people who wanted to destroy them, yet they approached them ultimately with forgiveness.
And with the forgiveness, they healed others. So in return, the people in Taif, they opened their heart. They understood they did wrong, and they started, learning. And then now, you saw that the harmony came. Instead of enmity, they came into faith. They became friends. They understood one another, and they realized that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was not their enemy. So today, like this race, that race, Muslims are misunderstood by many. Muslims are hated by many. Why? Because of the lack of understanding about one another. And it is causing hatred, anger, fear, etc., etc. So we need to heal those things for the betterment of peace and unity and harmony. How can we do this? If we kill in return of killing, if we hate in return of hating, we cannot go anywhere. That's why Allah said in Quran, idfa billati hiya ahsan. فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. Allah said that always in response to the evil, do what is best.
Do what is best.
And if you continue doing the best, for example, someone gave me hate. In return, the opposite is love. All offer love. And if I can do this, Allah says that is the healing. Because Allah said, if you continue like doing this, then one day the person who hates you, who thinks you are enemy, by your action, they will see that you are friend and they will become friend.
Wow.
So, in 15th of March, he did a horrendous thing, a bad thing. And I thought that he also at the same time gave me an opportunity to present myself as a Muslim, not as a Farid, as a Muslim, as a true Muslim.
And I think as a
to show
human,
him,
as somebody who believes in humanity as well, Brother Farid, as
yes,
a Muslim, but somebody who believes in humanity in general as well.
exactly. So in human, we have grouping, we have, hates, we have problems. But if we practice forgiveness, then it becomes a big tool for healing. So, for example, in this age, we see that marriages are breaking a lot.
Yes.
Why? Because we cannot forgive one another. Domestic violence happening a lot. Why? Because we cannot control our anger, or because we have grudge and we cannot forgive, we cannot move on. So forgiveness in every aspect of life, in every profession, we need it for harmony because it brings us the better good.
Wow. That's amazing, Farid, to be able to take it to take that difficulty that you faced and make it a platform for advocacy, to talk more about forgiveness and understanding, and you've outlined that, and we thank you for exploring that with us. So I wanted to now ask a little bit about, it's been more than a year. The 1 year anniversary passed pretty quietly here in Australia because of COVID mainly. Seeing
Yes.
the media and everybody was very much, concentrating on the pandemic. Even us, we were supposed to do an event on the anniversary, but we couldn't do it because of public, social distancing and things like that. But I wanted to ask, what has changed? Have things really changed in New Zealand? From my perspective in Australia, there was a bit of talk, but not really too much has changed around trying to understand this hate and trying to understand these problems that kind of, ebb and flow through society. In COVID, for an example, we've seen racism towards Asians in Australia, for an example, for no reason at all, just because somebody supposedly looks like they're from China, they face hate. And we still see anti-Semitic attacks and horrible things happening to our Jewish friends and people of different skin color. Things haven't really changed that much in Australia, I think. But I wanted to hear your take on New Zealand. I know you guys are doing things differently there, so it'd be nice to hear what's changed. Have things changed in New Zealand?
I see a lot of change, positive changes. New Zealand is, we are a little bit isolated in a small island, and we know one another quite well. So New Zealand in general is a country with full of compassion. But before 15th of March, it was not very apparent. It was just inside mostly. But when 15 March happened, the reality came out. And that reality was the whole country came out with compassion. And it was amazing. I was, on 15th of March, I was controlling myself as much as I could from crying. I didn't want to cry much because I thought if I cried in front of others, then others will feel weak. I tried to cry less in front of my daughter because if I cried, she would break down. But second day, after the night, second day morning, when I went out, I could not stop crying. Why? Because in every corner, every street, flowers, messages. We are together. We are one. We love you. When I saw these things, it made me emotional that I did not realize that much love in New Zealand before. I had never seen that. But with a strike, the real New Zealand compassion came out. So it was not just in Christchurch. It was all over New Zealand, starting from the top leader, Prime Minister. She said something, just one sentence, and that was amazing. We are one. So simple, but very, very powerful. She did not divide one group from another, one religion from another, one race from another. It was so precise but so beautiful. And the whole country, even before she said that, the people were on the street. People ran to the mosques. They were crying. Ladies were hugging, our ladies. So it was wonderful. At school, my daughter said that before 15th of March, some of the classmates, they used to joke, you know, innocent jokes, the joke they used to hear, in the media or here or there. So they used to make joke about Muslim. But after 15th of March, she said to me that it was all changed. All changed because, it made them feel something that even, little mockery about Muslim would hurt them. So they decided not to do even this innocent joke because, she might feel hurt. So I see that in a lot of change, but what I also see that it had opened the windows of communication. But as a Muslim community, the biggest challenge on us is we should also reach them. Otherwise, real love cannot be one way. People showed love to us, New Zealanders showed love to us, and we should also show them our love for them. So this is our challenge, but because our community is small and we were overwhelmed, we have received hundreds of thousands of visitors and cards and things like this. It will take us time to go back to them, to reach them, and to build up better bridges. The other thing you said that, still some hate is going on. Yes, it will happen, and especially after a month or so, when the real economic figure will come out after the COVID-19, the economic downturn, some people will try to demonize the immigrants. Yes. When people are losing, then they try to find someone to put the blame on. It will happen. But what I understand is, look, In 24 hours, we have night and we have day. Day brings brightness and night brings darkness. So it goes side by side. So similarly, racism and no racism, evil and truth will go side by side. So we should not be surprised. But what we need to do, we need to encourage people, because majority people in this world, in any country, even in Australia, majority people, they're not racist. Majority people are compassionate. So this majority people need to speak up. We need to be active. And if we are more active, then, things will be much, much better.
Thank you for that, Brother Farid. Also, just, you're, as somebody who's amongst the community there in Christchurch, how have the Muslim communities and those communities directly affected by Christchurch, how have they healed? Have our communities and those who have suffered been able to heal? How are they mentally and psychologically? You've seemed to have healed. Has everybody dealt with those scars, or are there still people suffering? Are they getting the support that they need? If you could please just talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So, like any other community, when any community receive any injury, shock, fear, then, in terms of reaction, our community, I will say our community has been divided into three categories in terms of healing and in terms of reacting. So one category is some people, they bounce back overnight and they set on the right tone for the rest.
They set the right tone for everybody else.
Yeah, for everybody else. For example, our tone was peace and patience.
Yes.
So Alhamdulillah, some people into that category, they quickly, within minutes, even though they were shocked, even though they were victims, survivors, but Allah gave opportunity and wisdom to them. Within seconds, they bounced back and they gave the message, peace and patience, no violence. So that was good. So this is one category. They healed quickly, or they took the path of healing very quickly. The second category of people were majority in our community and from victim. And this second category, they were also injured one way or another way, mentally or physically, but they were looking for the direction. And the moment they got the direction of peace and patience, they also revived quickly. And they started becoming involved, practically with whatever capacity they have to, go towards the healing. And the third category are most vulnerable. So could be physically or could be mentally or emotionally, most vulnerable ones. So these ones, like, when you have old patient or patient who has already underlying, symptoms, then no matter how much medicine you give, you have to give them time to respond slowly. So we still have some people in our community who are in the healing journey, but their speed is slower than the other groups. And for them, we should not set up a time limit. It should be continuous. Say, for example, when a child sees his mother is crying every day, and then the child grows up and wonders, why my mother cries every day? And then he grows up and he finds out because my father was brutally murdered. How this child is going to react? You know, so we need to watch them, we need to
Yes.
guide them, we need to
Support.
help them, to grow together with us. So we have, every individual, every person with unique situation, unique environment, unique feeling, and uh, they need long time and continuous support for healing. But as far as majority concerned, Alhamdulillah, they are positive, and you know uh, they are healed, or they are in the path of healing. So overall, it is going in a positive direction.
That's great to hear, and I hope that there's the support networks in place to be able to help those people whose lives have been changed forever because of what happened. Uh, it seems during this time, during this 1 year, 1.5 years, you've been quite busy yourself as well. You've written a book about your wife, Husna, who you lost, which was called Husna's Story. And currently, you are writing a book about your own life and your own experiences. Can you tell us a little bit more about your writing? Like, was that part of the healing process? Did it help you with things? Is it continuing to help you with things?
Yeah, I think it was, definitely it was part of the healing. For example, for my healing, for my mental satisfaction, I wanted to do something to honor my wife
Yes.
and to share her good qualities with others so that others can be inspired. And also, I wanted to uh, show our love to the wider community. And I was thinking, from the first day, what could I do? What could I do? What could I do? If I had a lot of money, probably I would have started a hospital, but I did not have money.
Yeah.
And then, suddenly on third day, I was lying on my bed and I was thinking the same thing. Then an idea came to my mind that I could write and I could donate the book to the ambulance which serves, human being without any discrimination. And I could at least do something like this. I'm not a horrible writer. Yeah. So that was the idea. And now, I can see that this book is appreciated by so many people. It is the third bestseller in uh, in New Zealand, and people are using this book and gifting this book to one another uh, as a healing, healing message for trauma and things like this. So this book is all about love, love for my wife, love for my community, because uh, all this time the story about what happened was patchy, patchy, patchy. And I wanted, because I went back inside after the shooting, and I wanted to write a brief yet comprehensive description to honor my uh, people, my friends who were injured or who were killed. So love for them, love for my wife, and love for my, human being. So, this book, one book, but it has all of it. And I'm very pleased that it has turned out to be very good. And also I am receiving feedback from, so many non-Muslim friends and readers. They are saying that thank you for sharing with us. With this book, now we understand how Muslim family works and how you people think about human being, things like this. So, it has become a very good message, a true message that actually underneath we all are human. The bottom line is we are one family, created by same God, and we are the children of original parents, Adam and Eve. So what are we fighting about? We should live in peace.
So, do you think this is what's Husna's legacy? Like, what does she leave behind? Do you think this is her legacy, or the book, or is there more to that? What has she left behind? With you lost her. What does she leave behind? Like, what is the world going to learn from the loss of Husna?
It is, about Husna, the description of her is written in this book. So, the world could see that she was a righteous woman. B, she was a fighter. She went through so much hardship in her life. She lost her mother when she was 8 months old.
Wow.
She lost her father when she was about 11 or 12. And she had sickness. She has so much hardship, but she never gave up.
Wow.
She was always positive. She was always bouncing back. She was a person who chose the healing and to be positive. And she was a philanthropist, not through much money, because we were not that rich, but with her time. With her time and with her skill. She was known as a mother in our community. Any ladies going to the cesarean, she's there with them because they want her. New babies for haircut, for example, they want Husna to be there. How to feed the baby, things like this. So all her life, she was a righteous person, very kind, very generous, very brave, and selfless.
And from
selfless.
And even in her last moments,
yes,
she was like that as well. Yes,
she was because she preferred others.
She was trying to help others on that day, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. So, from Husna, there are a lot of things to learn. Even I have learned a lot of things. And I think many people can learn a lot of positive things. This is how we should be. Life is short. Life is not a bed of roses. It has ups and downs. But what we can do, no matter what happens, we have to take the positive direction. We have to take the healing. And that was Husna.
So just my question, if it was the other way around and Husna had lost you, do you think she would have forgiven as well? If it was the other way around, if you had passed away and I was speaking to her today, do you think she would have forgiven the person who did these things?
I'll give you an example, and that will be sufficient. When I was hit by the drunk driver, and I was in coma, induced coma, in the ICU for 14 days. And then, I woke up and I was in pain. I was distressed. I was sort of battered. She was beside me and she was smiling and telling me, poor guy, he must had a bad day.
Allah. Well,
Yeah, so, she forgave him, I forgave him, we used to make joke about it, and we used to uh, find reasons to feel sympathetic towards him.
mm, mm,
And that is not only her. I'll give you another example, her child and my child. We have one child. On 15th of March, my daughter came home around 7 o'clock, and we hugged one another and we cried. And then she went to her room. She said, Dad, I need some time alone. I said, okay, but I'm here. And then lots of visitors started coming. At one stage in my living room, there were about 56 people. And they were, some of them were angry, some of them were fearful, some of them were sad, crying. And I was counseling them until 11 o'clock at night. At 11, I said, now we should go because I need to spend some time with my daughter. So at 11, we sat down on our dining table. She was sad, obviously I was sad, but I wanted to talk to her about her feeling. So long story short, one of the questions to her was that, Shifa, lead me on this. How should we feel about the killer? And she said to me, Dad, I'm only, I'm a child, and do you want me to make a comment on this? I said, you are not a child, you are a leader. You were in a student council, all the time you had some leadership role, and don't estimate yourself. Today you are the leader, you lead me, but whatever you say, you have to explain.
mm,
So she started explaining, and her final comment was, I feel sympathy towards him because probably the amount of love I received, he did not.
you did not receive.
And the understanding and maturity about human relationship, about peace, what I have, probably he did not have.
Mm,
If he had, like me at least, then he could not have taken the gun to kill a human brother and a human sister. So not only Husna, I'm very proud that Husna's child, my child,
your child.
on that day, 15th of March, only about 6 or 7 hours later, she was like
Mm.
this.
That's incredible.
Alhamdulillah.
Brother Farid. That's incredible, Luke. It's it's easy to it's easy to talk about these things without feeling them, and you and your daughter went through it, and to be able to, like, I don't know if I would have your strength. Like, I think about it and I say to myself, I don't know, like, as you said, the prophet says we should do this. The prophets all said that. God and, in all of the faith says it's better to forgive, but to actually do it and to put it behind you, that shows something about you and your family and those things that you believe in, how they've shaped you in an incredible way.
And I believe that it's not about me. It's about every human. Every human has an ability to forgive. Every human, we should not underestimate ourselves. Every human has, we have fujuraha wa taqwaha. We have, two sides inside us. One is the bad side, and one is the best side. So it is our choice. If we want to exercise our best part, the angelic part, the love, kindness, mercy, generosity, forgiveness, we can. So it is with every one of us, and we just need to use it, and we can do it. Of course we can do it.
So I've got a question from
Sure.
the public who've been tuning in. So they're saying, your message of love and forgiveness has been heard far and wide. Where have you traveled to, and what do you aim to achieve with these talks, with these, where you've gone and spoke?
The answer is that I'm a little human being, and I just want to do as much as I can do. And since 15th of March, I traveled many places like USA, Netherlands, Abu Dhabi, in 3 main conferences in overseas. And I found that so many people out there, they are working so hard for the peace and harmony. And I was very encouraged to see that actually in this world, more people are working for peace, and only few tiny people are trying to destroy the peace. That gave me more hope and more courage, and it encouraged me to be part of them. So my message today is to whoever is listening, that you can be a ambassador of peace. Let all of us be active in peace advocacy. We can change the world. It's not about me, it's about our next generation. And let us also motivate our next generation to lead us, not just to listen, to lead us towards the peace and harmony. And if we together put our energy into that direction, then there will be a positive change.
What a wonderful way to end our conversation, our talk, Brother Farid. I just wanted to briefly say I shared with some of our friends here in Canberra that we would be talking today, and our friends at the Canberra Interfaith Forum, our forum that brings all people from different faiths together, just wanted to remind you that, and the people of New Zealand, that they are always in their thoughts and prayers, and that they're always thinking about our friends in New Zealand across the Tasman. Farid, thank you.
And we appreciate that, we had, so many visitors from Australia.
Yes.
For first 3 months, I used to go to the mosque, for a few hours, and most of the days I used to call, I used to, meet the visitors, and I used to call it, Aussie Day. I used to joke with them that you are taking over us, because the groups after groups after groups from Australia, with lots of cars, flowers, they used to come, they used to cry, with us together. So we are very grateful to, our neighbors, Australians. And, we think of you very high, and we appreciate your support and help. And may God bless you all. And let us work together to be one human family.
Okay. Just before we finish, Brother Farid, we're in the month of Ramadan. We're almost finished. I don't know
Yes.
how it's been going with you. I really want a coffee. I haven't had one for about 3 weeks, and I think I'm going to go crazy. So I'm waiting till Eid to have my first coffee. Uh, and we just wanted to ask your message for Ramadan, your message for Eid that's coming up, anything that you would like to share with us.
The message for Ramadan is, as I understand, the purpose of Ramadan is لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Allah says the purpose of Ramadan fasting is to learn righteousness, to learn self-control, so that we can control all our evil sides and we can explore all our good activities. In other words, fasting is a training to become a better human, a better father, a peaceful mother, a peaceful brother. So let us take this, a main message of Ramadan and turn ourselves into a better person, a better human. The second one is the fasting shows us or teaches us to feel the pain of the hunger. So there are so many hungry people out there, and especially after COVID-19, so many people all around the world, they are struggling. So let us share with them, let us feel for their hunger and be more compassionate towards them.
So
And
please.
and the Eid mean happiness. And what is actually the happiness for? The happiness is for those who take their fasting month as a training month, and they become better people. For them, when Allah announces for the reward, that is the main reason of happiness in Eid. So let us not take the Eid as just a ritual for eating and dressing nice and buying expensive perfume, but let us be righteous, because if we become righteous, then for us, Allah will, announce His reward, and that announcement should give us the real happiness, and that is the essence of real happiness of Eid. Let us be better.
Farid, thank you for your time. Thank you for this talk.
Thank you.
It was candid. It was real, and it left us all, I think, with targets and goals in our own lives about how we need to treat those around us, those that we don't always agree with, and those who do bad things to us or grieve us. So thank you for that. Thank you for your for not holding back. I think it was very important to have that discussion, and I hope that your next book is also a great one, ladies and gentlemen. So the book's name is Husna's Story, and I'm sure you can find it online and by Farid Ahmed. So if you haven't, please try to get a hold of it. I'd like to thank the Pearl of Islands Foundation as well for allowing us this platform to speak, Farid. I think these discussions are very important, and I hope to see you at another Pearl of Islands event. And stay safe and continue the message of love. I think that's what we take away from this.
Thank you so much, and thank you, the team of Pearl of Island. They're doing a great work.
Yeah.
And peace and blessing on all of you.
On all of you. Take care.
You too.
God bless.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.